Good morning, co-fellows. My topic is determinants and outcome of unintended pregnancy. Among unmarried adolescent girls and young women in Nigeria, unintended pregnancy constitutes a major risk to the health of women generally because of the morbidity and resultant mortality associated with it. And globally, the annual prevalence of unintended pregnancy between 2015 and 2019 is said to be 121 million, and that amounts to 64 unintended pregnancy per 1,000 women within the age of 15 and 49 years. In sub-Saharan Africa, this is about 14 million, and 44% of this occurs among adolescent girls and young women. So, unintended pregnancy is prevalent among this population, and of course there has been various cross-sectional studies on unintended pregnancy among women generally, and with less focus on the adolescent and young women group, especially a country-level study. There has been some cross-sectional study in specific communities in some states. So there's a need for a country-level study with specific focus on unmarried adolescent girls and young women on unintended pregnancy. And this can help to formulate intervention that can aid policy formulation and implementation in order to reduce the incidence of unintended pregnancy and the associated morbidity and mortality among adolescent girls and young women. So these are my research objectives: to determine the prevalence of unintended pregnancy among unmarried adolescent girls and young women in Nigeria, to determine the factors associated with unintended pregnancy among unmarried adolescent girls and young women, and to determine the outcome, both maternal and child, of unintended pregnancy among adolescent girls and young women. And the methods is the secondary data analysis using NDHS. So that's the information I have for now, sir, on my topic. I'm not familiar with secondary data analysis at all. This is my first interface with secondary data analysis, and I've not romanced the data, but I believe unintended pregnancy will be available on NDHS data. Thank you, sir.
So welcome comments from colleagues. All right, class governor.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Now that you have not romanced the data, I don't know if my question will be very helpful.
It will be helpful.
Okay. It's a question actually. I was just curious. I really wanted to know how if it's like unintended pregnancy, how you measure that. Because I know of recent pregnancy, so I was just curious to know how.
Okay.
I think you know whether it's intended or not.
They do. They label it mistimed pregnancy. That's pregnancy that happens when the woman is not expecting it. They collect that data.
So it's distinct from adolescent pregnancy?
Yes, actually. Because it could happen among elderly women and among adolescents.
Okay, so this is unintended pregnancy
among unmarried adolescents, that's 15 to 24 years.
Can they also be unwanted? Okay, so that is unwanted anyway, unmarried. Yes.
Well, okay, unintended, there is a debate on unwanted and unintended. I've used the word unwanted in a paper before, and the reviewer said it's unintended.
Mistimed and unwanted. Unintended, from what is
mistimed means that we still want it in the future
at a later period.
So an adolescent that gets pregnant when she's not married, she obviously will want pregnancy in the future, just that she doesn't want it. And like that as unintended pregnancy.
Alright, any other question?
So what are the variables you're looking at?
I'm looking at unintended pregnancy. Then determinants could be socio-demographic characteristics and maybe availability of some sexual and reproductive health services, or some of them utilizing contraceptives, depending on if such data is available. And independent variable now, the outcome, was there abortion, or did they carry the pregnancy to term in the other round? So that's what I'm looking at as outcome. So in for the first objective, of course, it's just prevalence of unintended. So unintended pregnancy is the only variable. The second one, the independent variable will be the social demographic characteristics and use or no use of contraceptive or availability of sexual and reproductive health services, while the dependent will be unintended. And then for the third objective, the outcome will be the independent variable will be the outcome. The dependent variable will be the outcome, while the independent will be unintended pregnancy.
Sorry? The last one?
Yes, outcome. Outcome of unintended pregnancy. It is unintended pregnancy that determines outcome.
I'm asking.
And now,
And what do you mean by that last object? That's
outcome, like, did they carry the pregnancy to term? Was there abortion? That's what I mean.
Any other question? Or that's fine.
Okay.
I don't have a comment. Looking at, of course, I want to know how much women will fall into this category. When we deal with these factors. So I'm just thinking, in order to increase your yields, I want to suggest that will you rather leave them as young women, either married
or married. Okay.
Because some of them may be married, even at early years,
Yes.
and they still have unintended pregnancy, possibly you don't want it there. So if you remove all the married and you are left with your married alone, and you still want to carry out all of these further something, you will be too small.
Okay.
So I think you should remove the
Married, the unmarried.
Yes, and leave it as those age group that has unintended and now move forward to the outcome.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
What if she, okay, maybe I should wait till my turn. What if she lives unmarried? Although I have a lot of questions. If she lives unmarried and do a pool of the NDHS data, instead of just using 2018, you can do a pool to increase your sample size.
Yes, sir.
You can do 2013, 2000, and provided then you have adequate sample size, and you still be looking at unmarried. Why than say, because somebody that is married, for goodness sake, again, you need to be able to explain why are you interested. Are you getting it now? What will be of interest is, okay, how many are married? You get it now?
Yes,
so, if a married woman has issue with unintended pregnancy, she may not even answer you directly, very clearly, that I don't know whether I'm making sense to you. So if rather than use 2018, if you're going to have samples, you can pick like 3 NDHS and increase your sample size. That may help. I don't know.
I think just to add to that, the way of that said, maybe you leave it and be silent about their marital status.
Okay.
Bring them out and see how much of them have unintended pregnancies. And you can now look at it when you are writing your discussion. What is the likely trend for those that are married
and those that are unmarried?
And see, because if you are using married, you are using unmarried, that means you may be able to maybe leaving out some in terms of social demographics now. The age at which people marry and their expectation even within 15 to 25 years, 24 years that we are looking at. So I think you may be leaving out so many people. I think you should just leave them and look at their brother, whatever, over time, whether they are married.
What I'm saying, I think with some people, currently, in fact, if I get my laptop now, we are looking at facility use among unmarried adolescents in the north from the NHS, and we're probably getting some 3,000 plus. So, but if you're going to look at unintended pregnancy, that's what I'm suggesting. If you pull more and see false, if it does not work, then you can now remove the issue about being on marital status and see and all that.
Besides, marriage adolescent, there's any, and of course, some of them will probably want to get pregnant after marriage. So the likelihood of not actually intending to get pregnant is actually you are not being married.
That's why they go married.
And
So that
gives you more
justification. That's what I'm saying. Gives more justification than saying they're married and the rest. It gives more. You may be actually adding something.
And as I'm looking at the perspective of this topic, we may think that is much more important. But looking at the further consequences of unexpected, because you may be married, you are 17, you have a small baby, and you get pregnant. The likelihood that you're going to terminate that pregnancy is very high, even though the fact that you are married. So looking at the consequences, the unintended consequences now, if you look at it from that perspective, you want to bring in everybody. But if you look at it from the perspective that the unmarried are the one that will likely have unintended pregnancy, which may be from what we are thinking, but it may not necessarily be them that are even having more problem with even this unintended.
And as a writer to what you're saying, like in the north, I know most of the young girls have married legally. So, except you are focusing on the southwest, if you are going to have full complement of the whole Nigeria, then you should consider those who are also married. They can be married and still not want a child.
All right. Any other question?
Okay. I would probably have preferred the marital status to be a factor to be examined.
Okay, sir.
Unintended pregnancy. Somebody said I fall into that category actually, so I'm not looking at anybody. And every second born is a mistake. I am not a mistake. Because there is about 3 years between me and my senior brother. So that's why I feel that I think you should interact with the data. Let's come up first with the primary sample unit of unmarried. If it is enough, then let's go ahead. Otherwise, we can do a pool, like Prof said, so and then we'll move on that way.
Thank you, sir.
That be that as it may be.
Of course, you started talking, sir. Yeah, I was thinking I should talk. Okay, but let Prof talk. Obviously, Prof will cover the things I want to cover. Right from the title. I see how issues with the title. I don't know how.
Exactly. Let's go ahead. Please go ahead.
You have determinants, you have outcome, you have adolescent and young women. So what's the operational definition of adolescent girls and your young women?
10 to 24 years, sir.
With the what?
Female adolescents.
10 to 24. So what is the young women? Who are those groups?
Sir, that 10 to 24 years, like adolescent girls and young women are conceptualized as people within that age, sir. 10 to 24.
And I'm telling you, you are using two major terms.
Yes.
Okay, sir.
In one. That's where I'm going. So which do you want to stick with? That's the essence of. That's why I said maybe if you have an operational definition for young women different from that 15 to 24. Aside that, you are using two major terms in this. I don't know, Prof. things.
Yes, because if I was going to ask her if she plans to do a comparative study, defining unmarried adolescent girls as 15 to 24 and young women as 25 to 29.
Or to 35.
I don't know whether that is your plan. Otherwise, you can delete young women.
Okay, sir.
Okay? We're not trying to read your mind, but you think about what we're talking about. Okay, go ahead, sir. Because I was also going to pick on determinants and
outcome. Yeah, that's the second thing I want to talk about. That you have two major things. You are talking determinants, you are talking outcome. So, determinants of which of them now? Outcome of which of them now?
Determinants of unintended pregnancy. Outcome of unintended pregnancy.
So by outcome of unintended pregnancy, you want to what it resulted to?
Yes, sir. Did it result in abortion, or the baby was carried to term or something? I don't know if data will be available for that.
Have you interacted with the NDHS report very well?
Yes,
because it's important you do for the purpose of this operational definition of your outcome. Please, you will need to do that more.
Yes,
I believe if you do that more, you'll be able to refine
the outcome.
This topic and probably the workability of it. And so once we agree on that, then I shouldn't bother going to those objectives, because once this is done, there will be changes in the objectives. So we can look for progress.
Yeah, sir. What is the key outcome variable? Or let me just ask, what is the outcome variable in this thing?
The outcome variable. Outcome of unintended pregnancy.
If it is outcome of unintended pregnancy, it is different from unintended pregnancy.
There is prevalence of unintended pregnancy.
There are two outcomes you are having technically.
Yes, sir.
If you go back, unintended pregnancy is one.
Yes, sir.
The outcome of that unintended pregnancy is another one.
Yes, sir. What is captured in the last objective.
Which is what is captured in the last objective.
Yes. Go to objective 3. See. So that is another one. But unintended pregnancy itself, I think that's what she's talking about in the second one.
First
the main focus.
First
Outcome
objective.
is just one of the objectives she's looking at.
Then it should be the main focus should be the last. Usually.
Really?
The main focus should
be the last objective.
Not necessarily.
The main focus, the dependent variable, so to say, is the unintended pregnancy. So it cuts across all the objectives. While outcome is one of the issues she's looking at around that particular dependent variable, unintended pregnancy.
I get what you're saying. The other is what you're saying. Go back. When she goes back, I'm sure that will be fine too. Now, I know your own thoughts.
Okay.
You are like picturing your head. You move outcome and say, okay, determinants of unintended. That's your thoughts.
Yes.
Now, okay, you say, okay, the other way. Rearrange and say, okay, determinants of unintended and outcome or something. I don't know whether you get.
Because that outcome itself, I don't think it's necessary in this
title.
Yes.
That's where because it's not a second one. The main, that's what I'm asking. That is it unintended you are interested in, or the outcome of unintended? The key thing that needs to appear here in your title are the key objectives, the main thing. So if you're talking that outcome can come as a subsidiary thing within it.
Okay, sir.
But the way you are presenting it now, you are presenting it like having two major keys. Are we clear about that? But I think beyond that also, you need to go and look at NHS data and all that. Prof, sir.
Yes, sir. Straight away, what will be your dependent variable?
Dependent variable. Okay, sir. From my objective, sir. Okay, the second objective now, dependent variable is unintended pregnancy. Looking at
how will that be measured?
Okay. How will it be measured? From the first objective, sir, I would identify which okay, the number of people with unintended pregnancy. Yes, sir.
So, actually go and remove the word outcome from it.
Okay, sir.
Because the point of getting the capture.
Yes, sir.
So, if you are going to make some this is a numeric query. I'm trying to look at the relationship that exists.
Is she measuring as I was thinking it's going to be categorical.
Yeah.
Whether you intend,
He intend or
you don't intend.
tend to have pregnancy.
What would that mean? We're looking at people who are, I don't know whether what it means is that she's pregnant, is it intended or not? Would that be a variable that will capture this your current pregnancy or the last one or whoever? If you have never been pregnant, was it intended or not?
I think it's data. I think it's the respect of the last pregnancy.
The last pregnancy.
Okay.
Oh, okay, all right. So, in other words, let me ask you, what's going to be your PSU?
PSU. What's PSU?
Family sampling. Family sampling unit. So I think we've answered the question for you.
That's the unit of analysis.
Adolescents, women.
Adolescents who are unmarried, right?
Yes, sir.
And must have
Had unintended pregnancy.
Must have been pregnant.
Okay.
So whether it is not intended or not is
Okay.
We have not done that in the class. We didn't do it yesterday.
Are you gaining something?
Very well, sir.
Okay, so I think you need to. I think data like what year? That's the latest one. So this your system. I remember you had issues with it yesterday.
It has been resolved, but I could not follow. Yes, sir.
Well, you now have the data.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so fine. So if you now have the data, please interact with the data and get those things that we're talking about addressing the distribution.
Okay, sir.
So when you do it, it will be easier to define the objective, define a lot of things.
As you romance the data, I also advise you also romance the literature. Because this looks like something that's
Has been done.
So we need to actually identify the gap properly. If this is coming anew in terms of being a secondary data analysis or whatever gap that will make this thing there. I think it's important to also romance the literature.
That's true, sir. Because the way she presented it struck me like something I've seen repeatedly.
Yes, sir. As cross-sectional studies limited to particular states, but since this is a country-level data, and I think
With all our demographers, they write, go and cite very well. There's practically nothing they've not written. You know, I was preparing one article one day and I thought I was writing something noble. I just went for a last site and I saw somebody in the background I dropped the entire idea. It was so painful. So go and check very well and
okay, sir.
Yeah. All right, well done.
Thank you, sir.
Alright, so class governor, who is next?
Do you have any other thing?
Bellamy is not doing, it's not.
Stop doing, why?
You think your head stands for failure, you think this is for facilitator.
This is the right time. It's about groups, right? There's no C, so D, E, F.
What is readiness? We have a volunteer.
That's you now.
We have females.
Sorry.
Class doctor. A male is ready.
All right, sir.
Okay, you have to copy it. No, you don't have to copy it. Okay, no, you can save it. Save it. And you can even do this. Okay. Yeah, it's work. Maybe it's not working. Maybe I should change to the other system.
Yeah, on the other system too.
HDMI is there. No. I'll quickly send the work. Yeah. Sorry, sir. Okay.
It's good that you have actually gotten very.
Good morning, sirs. Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, fellow colleagues. My name is Ogosan Jeshulfian, so I'm presenting a research title, CeHPBE Influence Innovation Engagement in Agricultural Sector Among Young People ages 15 to 29 years in Nigeria. That's the title, research title. Then the variables I'm looking at, my independent variables are the peer influence, innovation, and engagement. And dependent variable is agriculture sector. The specific objectives, I have 3 here. 1, I want to determine the effect of peer influence innovation of young people in agriculture sector. The second is to describe the engagement of youths people in agriculture sector, and the last one is to identify the peer influences of young people in agriculture sector. So, statement of the problem: agricultural sector is one of the main sector of Nigeria economy, with more potentials but facing a lot of problems as agriculture solidify in subsistence practice, according to Wiggins and Kit 2013. It does make you to be more uninterested. However, ICT leverage has turned the paradigm around, and there are more engagement by the youthful age. By Osabo in 2023, despite the changes, the number of youth engagement is still less compared to the youthful population, thus contributing to unemployment, poverty, and hunger in the land. Perhaps, maybe there are no innovative peer influences amongst the youths in agriculture sector. Hence, this study will be filling the gap of peer influence on ICT innovation among the youth, and with the possibility to make significant proportion of youthful population to embrace agriculture and thus improve socio-economic livelihood and attainment of SDGs 1, 8, and 11. Justification. Generally, studies have been done extensively in agricultural sector here in Nigeria and abroad, but ICT innovation in agriculture is still growing, and a lot of reports from the progress report have been recorded. However, studies on peer influence of ICT innovation in agriculture among youth are yet to be explored, as youth are more likely to be more influenced with the activities of their peers, especially when innovations are made. Study innovations are made and contributed. So my data source that I intended to use, I don't know, I'm still yet to lay my hands on all these NDHS, but however, for the NBS, I tried to, but however, for the NB, Nigeria Bureau of Statistics, I was able to reach out to Mr. Matthew before he left, and we tried a lot. We didn't say anything on the platform, but he was able to reach out to someone in agri sector for me, and he promised to get to lay hands on some data and send to me. So hopefully from NBS, because the agri sector to the Ministry of Agri sector, I think they have something doing with NBS, so he promised to get something across, so hopefully. Yes, sir. Thank you.
We welcome questions, comments, and clarifications from colleagues.
Yes, I'm interested in the topic. In the topic for now. I see ICT influence innovation in the agricultural sector among young people institutes organized in Nigeria. And I see dependent labor as agricultural sector. Now, I think that particular agricultural sector as contained in this title is not really speaking to it as a dependent labor. It's talking about the area of interest. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. It's only speaking to the role of that agricultural sector in that title.
Yes.
It's talking about the area
yes.
of the interest, not really the dependent labor. So maybe if you can explain what you intended to do, you can really check it and identify what it's
Okay, I think okay, what I intended to do with that dependent variable of agricultural sector is more or less to see an improvement in agricultural sector, whereby youth are trying to influence their peers the more, and then at the end of the day, more youths are now engaged in.
So that means the outcome is now engagement in agricultural sector.
Okay. Yes, engagement. Yes, in agricultural sector. Yeah.
Okay. So is that to match into ICT influence of ICT peer innovation?
ICT peer influence innovation.
Wow. Sorry, did you define the ICT peer influence innovation? Is there an operational definition for it?
Yes, there is, but I've not really put it together. But from the literature, okay. ICT peer influence innovation is whereby sets of young people come up with ICT ideas, like maybe developing certain things, either to preserve, either to grind, or to process, or to sort out some of the agricultural produce or the outputs. Then
ICT, what did you say? ICT innovation peer influence.
Actually, before I have it as peer influence innovation, but my innovation is capturing the ICT side. But I know
it's also important to know if it's it's like a working definition in literature that is recognized. It's like this, they can't tamper with it. It's something that you coined then.
It's something that I coined, but what is inside?
If it is captured in literature, you can tamper with it.
Yes.
You can redefine. You can always listen. You can always redefine, and that's why we have the word operational definition.
Yes.
I get it now. But it's all that it's better to stick with what is standard over time. And that comes in when you are dealing with theory and but that somebody define this as this, I can always redefine mine. It's based on the data that I collected and what I think is influencing. I get another question, but I was just waiting for everybody to ask. Okay. Because agricultural sector can never be a dependent variable.
Yes.
So it depends on you must
engagement.
Have
yes, I agree. So I will move that engagement.
Okay.
Then.
Is there data for this price inflation?
I need to finish this in because MBS you want to work with, let me tell you from my experience.
Okay, sir.
But I wanted people to honestly answer their question. If I have my way, I want you to drop this thing.
Okay, sir.
We pursued MBS throughout last year. We didn't get any data from them. I cannot guarantee you that we will get any data on this.
At the moment.
If you ask me my sincere opinion, it's better to go back, go and choose something else.
I agree with you, sir, because at the moment, as I'm even going about it, yes, because regarding data, it was this morning. I have not seen data at all. It's this morning that he was able to tell. I reached out to someone around that past 6 a.m. and that was like he would try to give us the kind of substitute
last year. In the midst of after several months, could not lay hands on a particular data set. So let's use what is readily available. Your NDHS, your mix. So just go and pick another topic entirely, and you have opportunity to represent. Is that true?
Yes, sir. It's okay. Yeah, it's okay, very sir. Yes.
Prof, sir. I'm sure Prof not the variance. Because somewhere in the middle of it, you start with and then there's no. I'm telling you, I keep writing letter, even for developing the national UTS. MBS did not provide us with the data we needed.
Even the CBN, we will exploit this money.
So let's have Prof, sir.
Can we look at ICT, PR influencing, innovation, engagement, in any other thing apart from
agriculture? Yes.
Come from MBS.
Yes, sir. Yes. Actually, I thought. Actually, I thought of it, but time constraints, so and I've already arrived on the topic. Yes.
I can't even have my way. I will allow everybody to stay put within NDHS.
I will try to work within that frame.
And then I also want to encourage all fellows to go and download the 2018 reports from NDHS. There's a lot. There is a rich version.
Yes, comprehensive one.
If you just go through the content of what you have, that can also stimulate your thinking. Okay? About what you don't do and you want to do. Okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Prof, you are good, sir.
I'm good.
All right. Welcome.
Thank you, sir.
So we have until today and tomorrow to think again.
Yes, I will try.
Starting from the report,
yes.
For you to do anything at all, it's important to read the report, the average report.
Most of what you have in the report is descriptive.
So you can
just want to go in further, instead to do some impression on what you have. So the idea about it is that by the time you run your unit analysis, if you
coming with their own analysis. Once you're able to get that, once you're able to get to that point, then you know you are actually on the same level. And then that will stimulate your brain to bring more people that are new to get a share.
Another one.
Okay. Ele non lo tani sa.
Ele non lo tani, but really in there now.
Okay, I have to one.
Okay. That's all the crop. That one.
PGA, no. What about port?
No.
Display.
Display port now.
Display port.
Okay, like how? Oh, now you send it. That was what I was asking.
Admin.sparkle. It is well with you. She sent the lady.
I bet you laptop.
Yes. Okay. I was. That doesn't later.
Okay, understand the CV.
Admin. Let me leave my notes here.
No, you don't hold it for pointer. Okay, you can hold it.
If I want to use pointer.
If you want to use pointer, you put in the pointer.
It's not coming up yet. Thank you, sir.
Checking.
It's searching. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, our facilitators and colleagues. My name is M02102023 Oyetunde, and I'm here to present my proposed title or topic on predictors and trends of gender-based violence among young mothers in Nigeria. Okay, so this is the outline. For this study, I'll be defining GBV as an umbrella term for any harmful acts or abuse perpetrated against a person based on their gender. And for the purpose of this study, young mothers are individuals between 15 to 24 years old who have had at least one child. So we know what GBV is. It includes any harm, any kind of harm done against an individual, because based on their gender, and we know there are different forms of GBV. It could be sexual, it could be psychological, emotional, and there are other forms like female genital mutilation, forced marriage, child marriage, like that. And it's an event that can occur irrespective of an individual's status. It doesn't matter if the woman is rich or poor. It happens to women and men, but women are more affected. And it's not based on if they are educated or not. It can happen to both educated and uneducated women, or even social status or economic status. It can also include threats of violence, coercion, or deprivation of liberty, or anything. It can happen in public or private. All right. So studies have also established that GBV constrains women. It limits their autonomy, it limits their access to opportunities and how they are able to utilize opportunities. Citing the example of this lady that died recently. What's her name? Osinachi. We know that she has some form of influence. She's educated, she's kind of popular, but that didn't stop what happened to her from happening to her. So, and we also heard from reports how her husband has to screen the ministrations she has to go to and all that. So, for young mothers, it is important for us to look at GBV among young mothers because, they are still inexperienced, they're just growing, and they're at that point in their life where they're still trying to find themselves. And when a young mother gets married, most times it is to someone who is much older. So they are not even able to make decisions within that relationship. And if the person begins to, batter them or there is violence of any kind, they can begin to see it as a normal trend. And this can affect their, life achievement, overall life achievement. And for young mothers again, that's experiencing GBV, it's like an additional burden to them. They are trying to navigate adolescence or young, their young age. They are trying to navigate young age. They are trying to navigate motherhood at the same time. And experiencing GBV at that point makes the problem even much more severe for them. And we know that there are special cohorts in that if we are able to plan, if we are able to limit GBV among them, we have an additional, population that can contribute to the productivity of the country. We know that the outcomes for their children and, for people around them will be much better. And so far, there have been very few studies or very few interventions targeted at young mothers, let alone targeted at young mothers experiencing GBV. So they are a unique population. They have youthful needs, they have motherhood needs, and there are very few interventions looking at these needs holistically. All right, so I'm still reading around. So I saw this while I was studying, and it describes GBV as a patriarchal issue, and we are going to be using that framework to explain this. So these are the research questions. I know we have to select only 2, but these are the questions that came to my mind while I was reading. So maybe the first one will not be necessary after all. So we want to know the forms of GBV young mothers in Nigeria experience. We want to know if there are regional differences in the forms of GBV experienced. We want to know the predictors. What predicts GBV among young mothers, and the trend of GBV among young mothers. The research objectives mirrors the research questions. We want to know the prevalent forms of GBV, regional differences. Is it more in the north? Is it more in the south? What are the predictors, for each of these, for the regions? And then to explore trends in the occurrence of GBV among young mothers. So the data source will be NDHS from 1999 to date to look at the trends. So I was trying to just read around the variables there. So I know that to get the subsets, I tabulated current age at the time of the study with age at first birth. So that gave me a subset of young mothers who have had a child, and it's about 5,517. GBV experience, it's not stated as GBV experience. So I saw ever experienced sexual violence, the breakdown of the kind of violence they may have been exposed experienced. So these are some of the variables. So these are my references. Thank you.
All right, so thank you, Dr. Oye, Okay. All right. So welcome questions from colleagues.
Yes, sir.
Fellows.
Yes, sir.
All right. My eyes closed.
I was looking for your face. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, ma'am, for the beautiful, and I like your slides too. Very beautiful. So I was just thinking, I think maybe some of the objectives actually, I was just wondering, the doctor just said that we should actually go through the reports. I feel that some of them are already just, if you go through NDHS, they are just in like the common, like for example, maybe trends, is some of the things they present that we don't really need to analyze data before getting. So I feel that maybe some of those objectives might actually not be needed because they're already present in the reports. If I'm right, actually. Yeah. So I think the regional one is quite very much more interesting. The one that you have to check what determines what's across regions. I think that would be like a good addition to the good addition to the work that you're doing, ma. Okay. Yes, ma. Thank you very much.
Other questions? All right.
Thank you very much, Dr. Oyetunde. You have done very well. At least I like the way you try to justify the need for this set of women, the need for us to focus on them, looking at their peculiar need, their transition into motherhood, their transition into adulthood, and the demand of these GBV issues on them. So it's really worth focusing on them. But I want to say that with the little I know about GBV, this topic has been done over and over. So I don't know, because even the last ECHO, this 2023, okay, I did something around this, but not the trends. One of my seniors was trying to look at the trends. I'm not sure whether she has done it. She's trying to look at the trends from previous NDHs and possibly look at the comparative ends into other African countries to see how well we are doing. So it's really, really a lot of work that has been done on this, even both at different state level and even using NDHS. So I don't know, I know there will still be a way you can still carve out a niche for yourself. So if you are still interested in this topic, you may need to look at what other perspective you may want to look at this. Thank you very much. Well done.
Thank you.
Other questions, comments, clarifications? Okay, no. Oops.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yetunde. The few things I picked, I also commend you for the good work. Thank you. The few observations that I have is one, I didn't really see a clear-cut definition of the predictors that you actually want to look at. Maybe that might address Dr. Olaoye's concern. Maybe those predictors are something that has not been looked into, like as independent variables. Maybe that will address, maybe that will show the gap, because I actually noted it and I didn't see the exact predictors. Then secondly, you said GBP experience as the dependent variable. So I wanted to know how you want to measure that, because you said the data you saw did not have it as GBP experience, rather as do you want to bring them together as then measure a composite, give a composite score from different disparate measurements? So I think I would like more explanation on that. I guess those are the observations I have.
You want to respond to those ones first?
Okay. So for the first question, I know that a lot of work has been done, but I know that not many of them focused on young mothers as a population, because I've also been trying to read around to see what is happening and what is available. So I haven't seen anyone, I'm still searching, that actually focused on young mothers. You know, most times you just have them lumped together, 15 to 49, you know, and all that. But we don't really know what is happening among young mothers. And from my thesis, it's one of the things that I came about. I didn't really focus on that, as it just came out as part of findings that, okay, there's actually a lot of GBV going around, you know, going on among them, and we may need to just put some light in that direction. So yes, I will still continue to search and see where the gaps are. Yeah. Then, sir, I intend to actually do a composite score for them. Bring them together at one variable so that I can actually be able to do that. So the predictors, I know that educational level, you know, the regular regular demographic characteristics, and then we're going to look at if there are differences if there are different predictors in each region. So it's actually the regional predictors. You know, some in the south, the women are more educated, but then what are the predictors of GBV that makes it different from up north and all that? I don't know if that answers the question, sir.
All right. Thank you for that beautiful effort. Just a few comments before I hand over to Paul. My concerns, just push the slides a little. So, is it objective now? Research question will be the objective. No, the objective is not to. Okay. So, I was just thinking about. Okay, you said you worked with 1999 till now.
Yes, sir.
And you did this. That's where you got this hypothetical 5,000 plus.
No, this was just from the NDHS 2018.
2018 alone.
Yes, that gave us yesterday.
I got 5,000 plus.
That's just for young.
I know that young.
Yes.
That's quite.
5,517.
So, this, you know, you said predictors and trends. What is it exactly you want to look at trends? Because regional differences can be trends.
Okay, so I want to also.
Trends can be. So, what is it you have captured as trends?
Trends in the occurrence of GBV, and then you can now look at by region from 1999 to date.
So what exactly is the trend you are looking at? I don't know. I need an operational definition for this trend. What is the trend? The trend of what are you? You're not getting my question.
Okay, sir.
Okay, your GBV. What is the operational definition of GBV?
Any harmful acts.
Any harmful acts. But then you are forming a composite.
Yes.
Variable again.
To bring those things that they have reported as against their will, things that comprise.
So you now have one word that is GBV.
Yes, sir.
Experience.
GBV experience.
Okay. So you are now going to see. Okay. I'm just thinking. I'm thinking loud. So GBV experience is now a composite. So what is the trend you are looking at? What was the prevalence in 2029? I mean 1999?
2003, 2008.
Are you sure you won't get that in NDHS report? Go and check first.
Okay.
That's what she addressed.
Go and check. But that's what I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You need to, because it may be more beautiful to be looking at regional differences. You will capture a lot because of contextual differences between the north and the south. And this trend thing, and that's why, like it's been said repeatedly, interacting with that report first might fine-tune some of these questions at the end of the day. I'm sure there's always a huge gap between region, the north, the south, because there are always contextual differences here and there. And so it may be good to do that. Then my other concern, because when you move, when you're a good presenter, you are smart, you just talk and you talk. So this is your to itemize predictors of GBV. But you said predictors of, are you just itemizing, you understand that? Are you just itemizing, or you are determining, you are assessing the predictors of GBV?
It is as it came to my head.
Okay, it's all right. Okay, Prof, sir.
Yes, sir.
Quick ones first. Thank you, sir. Please, let's do research question. Bullet 2, please read.
Are there regional differences in the forms of GBV experience?
What will be the answer?
Yes.
In studies, you don't ask any question that will lead to yes or no answer. So research questions should not be anything that will suggest yes or no. Please go to objectives. The word explore, what does it, how does, so, do you have a qualitative data that is secondary that you want to use? So can you change the word? For quantitative, there's nothing to explore. Because in the first instance, you were not part of the data collection and all that. So that's one. Now, please, let's go back to the topic. Sorry, I need to pick this call, please. Hello, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
fellow colleagues. My name is Adenike Oyinei, and I'll be doing my presentation on this proposed topic. This topic was actually born out of my curiosity. I was actually going through the reports of the NDHS 2018, and I saw, this caption on the help-seeking behavior for like survivors. I don't want to say victims of domestic violence, and I realized that over the years, precisely for 2013 and 2018, the figures for the help-seeking behavior, the prevalence was the same. And I was just like thinking, okay, despite the fact that it's been reported that there is increase in violence and I'm concentrating on domestic violence as in just under gender-based violence anyway. But I just thought of, okay, why the same prevalence, despite the fact that it's been proven that domestic violence is increasing by the day. So I just thinking of working around this. So just some brief background. I must confess I've not romanced my literature enough, but I was able to get these few things. It's a call for concern, and violence can occur even all through life. We've recorded incidences of violence in toddlers and infants, and all through life in middle-aged women, in elderly women, and all that. So it's a major call for concern, and domestic violence has to do with what happens in relationships, and it can be physical, it can take other forms like intimate sexual violence, intimate partner violence, physical, verbal, and all that. It affects, people even when it happens around them. We've had cases of adolescents, children, when they live even in violent situations, when they are not expressing the violence themselves, or maybe they are living in a violent environment, it also affects them one way or the other, either directly or indirectly. And from the NBS, this report on the statistical report on men and women, we have the prevalence that 30% of Nigerian women aged 15 to 49 years have experienced violence, and while a shocking 68% have encountered emotional, economic, and sexual abuse. So it's something that really calls for attention. And when we talk about violence, apart from the unnecessary hurt and pain it causes, it undermines, children, and I say children, including adolescents and all that, sense of self-worth, and hinders their development. Many of the problem, the other day when Prof was here, we were talking about use of drugs and all that. Many of these risky behaviors can also be traced to, people trying to manage violence, trying to find a way around, the situation. As a result, they go into certain vices. And quite a number of sources have also shown that victims, of violence, they seek help from informal. When I say informal, it means talking about family, relative, peers, and all that. Then when we talk about formal, talking about institutions like healthcare institutions, legal institutions, all these NGOs working on violence, talking about police and all that. And it's been recorded that also that quite a number of them turn to the informal sources more than the formal sources. So, like I indicated before, the NDHS 2018 reviewed that there was no difference in the prevalence of help seeking among victims of domestic violence in Nigeria in the 2013 and 2018 NDHS. Despite the reported increase in domestic violence, this indicates the likelihood that no progress has been made in likelihood, in the improvement of help-seeking behavior so far. So existence of supportive interventions will go a long way in helping survivors of domestic violence. And the gap, I'm still trying to work around, identify specific gaps, that the study will actually address. So these are the objectives, which is still under scrutiny to explore patterns of help-seeking behaviors among young survivors of domestic violence, and specifics, identify factors influencing young survivors' help-seeking decision or indecision, to determine the level of knowledge of young people aged 15 to 39 years of action steps to take in situations of domestic violence, explore current gaps and opportunities in the provision of services to survivors of domestic violence. Actually, like I said, this is my first time of using DHS secondary data or whatever, and I've not really explored what the data said that are available, if they'll be able to address this. But a lot came to my mind, even beyond this, that what can be done in terms of help-seeking behavior. So these are the research questions which followed the research objectives. Then these are the proposed variables I intend to using. I think it was Dr. that mentioned ETC the other time. I think someone's presentation, or maybe Dr. Kupola. So I still decided to leave it because I don't know, what and what might still come in at the end of the day. So I intend to use the demographic health survey. But when I talk about pattern, I don't know if it's to study it over, the course of some years. I don't know. That's why I didn't put any year. And also other options. I'm open to suggestions for other options that can also be explored in order to be able to achieve this. So these are my references. Thank you for listening.
Well, so welcome comments from fellows, colleagues. Questions, comments, clarification.
Whether you display or not, I just want to stress that obviously coach responsible. And okay, thank you. So patterns of help-seeking behavior among young survivors age 15 to 29 of domestic violence in Nigeria. I want to say that, of course, I think it's a fine topic, and I think I don't know the extent to which, I don't know, of course, until you explore the data, maybe then you will have some clarity. But when you say patterns, towards the end of the presentation, you said something about you don't know whether the data will capture it over the years. So I lost some things there. When you say patterns, maybe you should clarify what you mean by that pattern. What are you trying to explore?
The varying degrees, or how would I put it down, the other possibilities, I don't know, let's start with trend. Let's try trend. That's it.
You mean trend?
No.
You didn't hear that.
No.
I didn't hear that. Okay. So let's just start with here. Let's start from this angle. Help-seeking behavior.
Yes.
What is help-seeking behavior? What is our interest in that?
What they do, to seek help. Let me just put it in there. When, these are like victims of violence, okay? After experiencing it, what they do, they the actions taken, what they do to seek help.
And what are the likely things they could do?
Maybe tell someone, for example, maybe tell a friend, tell, depending parent, tell, someone, religious leaders and all that.
So there are multiple options of actions they can actually take. Now, when you look at it broadly, will it not be whether they took an action or not?
Yes.
That means they're actually seeking help. So when you say ethical behavior, I just want to know so that we can be specific.
I understand.
So whether they talk to somebody or they actually went to a hospital or they report to the police and all of that, are you going to categorize all of those as they took action, they decided, or they, So if you can get the clarity regarding that, then we can now start talking about the pattern. So what kind of pattern can go around that area? So that's what I want to understand. That's what I'm asking the question.
Okay. Let me look.
Why are you looking at that?
Were we able to sort it out? Were you able to sort it out?
No,
she needs to respond.
Yes.
Okay, I'm trying to see if others have comments, as in among my fellows. Yes, I'm noting them.
Okay. I think it's still the same thing that has been said regarding the objectives using the word explore. That's a qualitative, that's a verb used for qualitative studies, so it shouldn't be used. So it could be determined pattern or something. Yes.
Okay. Noted.
Alright, any other thing?
She says she hasn't romanced the data actually. But I wanted to know if we have data for the young survivors or even survivors generally of domestic violence.
Okay.
By survivors, do we mean those who have experienced it?
Yes.
Because survivors mean they are no more experiencing it. That's what I understood by survivor.
They've experienced it. I don't want to say
they may still be experiencing.
I don't want to say
that they didn't die because of it. That's what it is.
Yes, they didn't die because of it, but it's possible they are even still experiencing it.
So are they survivors then?
I don't know.
As long as they did not die.
They can still live to tell the story.
Of course.
I don't know. I saw things. I just saw the statement in the report. It's more of in the report. I've not actually checked the extent of the various categories in the data, so I don't know.
So I think to add to that, mainly whoever you are capturing as experiencing any domestic violence is a survivor. Yes. So whatever percentage you get, they are survivor. Okay. So you now want to look at how many of them are sought for help at all. So you now categorize as seeking help, not seeking help. Okay. So you can now begin to look at what type of help they are seeking in terms of maybe the pattern. Possibly, is it the one that has helped them or not? But majorly, whoever is experiencing is a survivor. So far, they are still alive.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Well done. I was not really into this. I was a bit drowsy. But the only thing that interested or that's of interest is 15 to 29.
Okay, sir.
Why are you doing 15 to 29? Then we cannot have Prof.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was actually based on the fact that, for Nigeria, we are considering that. You mentioned it when somebody was presenting.
You want to send your manuscript to your forward again?
Okay, I will change that, sir. I will change that, sir. I will change that, sir.
You understand what I mean?
I know perfectly, sir. I will adjust it.
Maybe when you interact and you romance the data very well.
Okay, sir.
You can. Don't mind me, but if you think this will go.
No, we are learning, so I don't know what is obtainable out there. So anything that would distort the work, sir. That's why we are here, sir.
Actually, we can always defend this. You know, we can talk in terms of the fact that Nigeria National Youth Policy states this. It's not a hard and fast rule. You see, anything you want to push out there, you must be able to defend. And then back and forth with your reviewer. A lot of times I've seen reviewers say, why do you should do statistical analysis for this? And I came back and I told the person, look, we've done a qualitative component which will bring the context out. So there is nothing this statistics is going to do. And I proved it. The guy stopped talking about it. You get it? So, but it's not that you go back and forth a lot of time. It's not to say that 1529 cannot sell, and that's what Prof kept on saying when he talks sometimes. But you must be able to push and say, look, okay, in Nigeria, this is it. This is why we adopted this and this is what, and then it will be accepted. Are you getting it?
But I'm still looking at the global recognition.
It's not comparability that now comes up
and it's good to put it into consideration when I don't want to do in your for all of this.
Your already is one day.
Okay.
All right. So, can we have Prof, sir? Prof, sir.
You know what the one I was thinking of health seeking behavior, I didn't know it is help.
No, help was the typo for me.
So it just occurred to me now that we're actually looking for help.
Yes, sir.
All right. My first question has actually been answered. When do you say that somebody is a survivor? Okay. And as at the time of the survey, are you sure he's not still experiencing that thing? So those are questions that were coming to my mind along that line.
I think maybe you should speak with survivors, sir, because that's like the term they use for them.
Okay.
It's just like people living with disability.
Oh, okay. Okay. To avoid kind of stigmatization. Okay.
So now, how about people who have experienced and have stopped experiencing? What do you call them?
They are still survivors.
That definition is big. But we leave people who work in that area. It's great. So because if you say survivor, you've experienced you and you still continue, you are not a survivor.
I think we.
Yeah. But the person yet to die. It's true.
But you don't know if it's still
then tomorrow they will not call the person survivor again. They will say the person
But you see, anybody that cannot experience it again is a survivor, Abby. So including the person that is dead.
That's not the context.
Yes.
That's not the way they use it.
I agree with you. I'm just trying to see if you can see what I'm seeing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Prof, you are really
yes, sir. It's causing.
Yeah, because if you push this, well, for those who work in the field and are familiar with the term, and they are probably looking at what you've done, maybe it may not be a big deal. Because, for example, I presented something on quality assurance, and then some people picked me up and called me later that in education, what we call is different from what I've done. And I told them what we call in medicine is also different. So the context, what they call total quality, this thing is different from is quality management. So people use things in various fields. So if this is it, we stick with it.
Yeah, if it's a public health term, then we'll stick to it. A time will come during the fellowship program, then when we will need to talk about journal outlets, what the editors are expecting and all that. And like we usually say, the editors are kings. They seem to have the final say. So if your paper is turned to somebody who is in that field and is expecting survival rather than so you use their term actually. It's for you to publish your paper and then move on. All right. You said something about pattern.
Yes, sir.
As part of your dependent variable. I don't know how you want to measure pattern or how pattern is measured. You are the one seeking pattern. So it cannot be part of your dependent variable. It's a word. So it cannot be part of your dependent variable. So I think you should delete it as being, can we go to where you have your objectives?
She's right here.
Or the variables.
The variable, sorry. So we should just have help-seeking behavior.
Okay, sir.
Now, when we now talk about help-seeking behavior, how is it measured? Did you or did you not seek help? Is that what it means? Or are there other variables that were used to capture help? Okay, you are here to romance with the data, Abby.
Yes, sir.
But you are thinking of NDHS data?
Yes, sir.
I don't know if any of our colleagues have seen any variable like that there.
Have you seen? I just saw it in the report, so I don't know the extent.
Yeah, okay. I sent a paper to you already. You can just Google it. The thing was done in Ethiopia or something. It talks about help-seeking behavior among survivors and things like that.
Okay,
so you can just look into all of that, and then let's see how it goes. So with what you have, do you have any technique in mind, any statistical technique that you think you want to use to analyze your data?
Not yet, sir. I've not.
So what will be the nature, after all, at the end of the day, what will be the nature of your dependent variable? Did you or did you not seek help, Abby? So it's going to be like a yes or no. So whether you are using a composite variable and things like that, just like the GBV, when we have like 2, 3, like the physical, that the emotional, can you the third one, you know? The sexual, okay, and then we have to pull them together to know whether somebody has experienced it or not. Also look for variables that they use to measure sought help from, and also can now pull all of them together to see if at least the person sought help from any of the factors. So I'm trying to just a minute, please. I want to. Can we look at help-seeking behavior among young survivors of domestic violence? Help-seeking behavior among young survivors of domestic violence.
Okay, sir.
Again, that will not be a final thing.
Yes, sir.
Just trying to see if the topic can be concise enough, at the same time shows us direction from what is it called now? Independent to dependent variable. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So for the young survivors, I'll just put the age in brackets.
Yes. And I will suggest 15 to 24.
15 to 20. Okay. Thank you, sir.
I saw the objective too.
Okay, sir.
NDHS will not speak to that.
Okay.
I said I didn't follow you. I was not doing it. But it's all right. It's okay. So we can move on. You already appreciate what we're saying.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Mr. Abuemimoti, I think she helped us the pattern. John, you were asking the other time.
Determine the level of knowledge.
Made our own comments. I think we were satisfied. Concerning the pattern. Thank you. We'll still talk. Thank you, sir.
So, I'm going to put out the candle too. That is like standing on the existing protocol.
Is it protocol of romance or protocol of what?
I have not romanced the hairdresser very well. So please, try to understand where I'm coming from.
Where are you coming from?
That back there, sir.
Get there.
Thank you. Okay. Please don't read my title yet, too. Now you can read it now. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having me. My name is Hassan Oluweb. I'm here to present my concept notes as part of the requirements for faculty fellowship, entitled Influence of Household Headship and Household Characteristics on Contraceptive Use Among Sexually Active Female Adolescents in Nigeria. The problem and the background. Currently, Nigeria's population stands at a very high level, as the seventh highest population in the world, and is projected to grow to the third by 2050. Currently, from that population, 32% of that population are aged between 10 to 24 years. Significantly, that's a high population of young persons and adolescents. So, as part of the challenges these people face, this group of Nigerians is a sexual and reproductive health, among many others, economic and what have you. But for the sexual and reproductive health, this group are faced with some of the challenges related to pregnancies, adolescent pregnancy, and that has current and long-term implications on their well-being, both economically and health-wise. So, currently, a study was done by Bolaniwa in 2022, which part of the findings was that the level of adolescent pregnancy in Nigeria ranged across the region between 0 to 67%. And one of the challenges people face in order to address this is perhaps access to contraception as well as use of contraception. And from literature, so many factors have been explored. Majorly socio-demographic or socio-economic characteristics, talking about the costs, talking about distance and all of that. But some of the things that I identified from my little exploration of the literature is that few, or perhaps because I've not really searched deeply, but from the databases I've searched, the keywords, using the keywords of household and contraception, I didn't see a study that has actually looked at household headship in terms of, because this study the idea came from looking at the role of parents, how they inform use of contraception among their children, because there has been this debate, ongoing debate, that has never been there, that parents don't really want to talk about sexual activities and discussions among their children. So the idea came from that angle, and now because of the limitation imposed by the secondary data, I had to streamline that idea to household headship in terms of gender of the head of the household, as well as decision-making capacity of the head of the household, and the dynamics in terms of gender, as well as the characteristics of the household. All of those are some of the things I want to look at, and how they play out in informing use of contraception among their children. Those are the adolescents. Now, my question and objectives. To what extent do household headship and household characteristics influence contraceptive use among sexually active female adolescents in Nigeria? That's a broad question. And my specific objectives. The first is to determine the level of contraceptive use among sexually active female adolescents in Nigeria. That's a descriptive aspect. The second is to examine the influence of household headship Our household headship characteristics, like I mentioned, one of these is the household gender dynamics and how that influences the use of contraceptives among adolescent girls. The last, which is to assess the extent to which household characteristics shape contraceptive utilization among sexually active adolescent girls in Nigeria. My method. The first is to explain the design. I am not collecting the data by myself. I'm using a secondary data, precisely the Nigeria Demographic and Health Survey, the most recent, which is the 2018. Well, of course, if a new one comes out this year, I'll probably have to use that, hopefully, because it's a 5-year based data collection. So my sample are the adolescent girls. The study design is cross-sectional. It follows the design of the data, which is the Nigerian Demographic and Health Survey. So my sample, like I said, is adolescent girls aged between 15 to 19 years. And the dependent variable is contraceptive use, coded as using 1 and not using as 0. Key explanatory variable is the household headship characteristics and household characteristics. There are two things. The data analysis will follow, we adopt a univariable, bivariable, and multivariable levels of analysis. And my multivariable level, I'll be using binary logistic regression analysis because my outcome is dichotomous with focus on those use of contraceptive. Expected outcomes. The output from my results will focus on, we elicit information regarding level of contraceptive use among sexually active female adolescents in Nigeria, identification of key household factors that influence adolescent contraceptive use. These are some of the things that will come out from my findings. And then I'll be able to recommend, based on the findings, tailored interventions and policies to improve adolescent reproductive health. The outcome will be to enhance our understanding of household contextual nuances impacting adolescent contraception. And then the impact of this will be to inform evidence-based strategies for promoting adolescent reproductive health and reducing unintended pregnancies among adolescents in Nigeria. Thank you.
So welcome comments from colleagues. Questions and comments.
Don't forget, I have no romance data.
All right.
Sorry, sir, please can you go to the topic or title? Okay, household headship. Okay, I don't really know the exact person you are referring to in the household headship because I could see that men generally in the house, they shy away from talking about anything reproductive health, not talk of contraceptives for their.
Is it me or is that audible?
It's not audible, but
no, like I'm finding it difficult to hear the specific words you're saying.
Okay, it's regarding the household headship.
Okay.
Yes, I know that there is data for it, quite all right. But I don't know, are they referring to the male or to the female? Because male generally, they shy away from talking about anything reproductive and not talk of contraceptives use among the female. But I know that they share that with female and they look into that. So I want you to consider that when you are...
Okay.
Any other questions, comments from colleagues?
I have one.
Okay.
Thank you very much for this beautiful presentation.
It's beautiful. Thank you.
When I looked at it, actually you really thought of a good place to hide yourself. Looking at the outcome, which is very common, that you're interested in.
I didn't get that.
The outcome.
Okay.
Yes, I'm commending you. The use of the use of contraceptive among sexually active female, it's a common outcome. But where you're coming from is what makes it very unique. And so I'm commending your efforts.
Thank you very much.
But I want to be clear about something. This your household headship and household characteristics. It's for him because he's bringing it out very clearly now. The head sheet, very clear, male or female, because I know that's captured, straightforward. But for the characteristics now, what exactly about the characteristics of the households that is different from the socio-economic characteristics you want to explore in this place? I think you should give us ideas so that we are not expecting something so much characteristics and is not so different from socio-economic characteristics. So that's one. Then go to your methodology. Let me just scroll down. All right. The sample, you talked about adolescent girls age 15 to 19. This is good, but I think you are not being very precise. I think your sample should be adolescent girls, this age group, but sexually active. Because you're not going to be talking to everybody, because your interest from your title is the ones that are sexually active. So I think you should put that so that we know they are sexually active, but you're not asking them further. Are you using, are you not using?
Yes.
So I think those are the two things I can pick for now. Then your impact too. I like the way you put your expected outcome. But I was thinking your impacts essentially should be the reduction in the unintended use. Your impacts, unintended pregnancies. I think your impact should not include the informed evidence-based strategy. Those could be possibly your outcome or your output, but your impact should be the effect really, not the policy development. I don't know whether that should be there, but I don't think it should be there.
The impact,
the policy development should not be your impact.
No, I'm not the one developing the policy.
I know, but what I'm saying is that you try to give us the breakdown of what the outcome will be.
Yes.
So I don't think the policy part should come under impact.
I am informing policy. I'm not the one developing the policy. Get where I'm coming from. I have provided the evidence. So the policy makers, the impact of my work will inform decision of policy makers.
I get your point, but I think if you look at this in terms of evaluation process, I don't think that statement should come under impact.
No, if I get your thoughts, you just need to rephrase that.
Yes, so it shouldn't.
Do you get it now?
I'm open to suggestions.
What she's saying, if I got her thoughts, that your impact is to inform policy makers. That is what you're saying.
Yes.
That's the impact. Okay, I want to inform. So, but as she's saying, the way you've written it, it's as if you are the one responsible for the policy.
What would you suggest?
Are you referring to the impact or the output?
My suggestion,
delete. Because you are simply referring to significance of the study.
Oh, that's study.
You need to make it impact.
Thank you, sir. And thank you too. Thank you too. Yes.
But I think it can still play around, Joe.
It can play around.
You can play around that word. It's the way you're spreading. The recent impact is what, yes.
Impact is strong.
It's not.
It's beyond.
It's beyond. You are laying a background that policy makers can put together and produce something.
Like the outcome of the
outcome, yes.
That's
not the exact impact.
That's what all research. All research. That's what all research do. Provide evidence.
Any other comments?
I just want to ask a question. Just like others have mentioned.
I just want to ask, are you going to be using the household data alongside the record data? Like you are dealing with women and then you are also looking at household. So are you combining?
Okay, thank you. My unit of analysis is sexually active adolescents, female adolescents, which are between 15 to 19 years. And so I'm using the women record, not the household. My outcome is the one that determines the type of data I use.
Okay, so the household,
the women record, not
we have the information he needs.
In that,
household information. especially for characteristics, have you provided this concept?
Okay, headship, whether I'm focusing on, okay, we know whether, okay, what you're asking is whether there's a difference between socioeconomic and the household characteristics. Yeah, there are some peculiarities, of course. Some of those socioeconomic characteristics are also household characteristics, quite well. But there are some peculiar ones, like when you look at the family dynamics in terms of number of wives, the structure of that family size, the family size itself, those are some of the peculiar things that will also come in as part of the key household characteristics. I can also, of course, I'm also going to include some of the socioeconomic based on review from literature. That's extensive work. And the second one, okay, I think that's it. Okay, sir.
Before we move away from that, I think it's always important to be very clear at the beginning so we know what characteristics we're looking at.
Actually, it's part of my full write-up.
Bring them out at this stage so we'll be guessing you are looking at this, then at the long run you are looking at another thing.
Yes.
So I think it's very important because they are main construct in your title. Then to the objective, I saw something, if you can just go back to the, hey, before you leave this screen, the third output, are you saying you are going to provide recommendation for intervention and policies, or you are going to recommend the intervention and recommend the policy? The third outputs here.
Yes, this particular one.
Yes.
I'm going to recommend based on my findings so that policies will be tailored towards
it's not an output of your...
It's not an output.
It's not an
No,
output.
actually, it's from the findings, sir. I will make recommendation in my work.
That's expected.
That's expected. It's not an output of what... See, I'm waiting for you. You know, from past experience, probably remember when we had training, people who have the statistical skills, they have the way of playing out. I pay close attention to your presentation.
Because this recommend tailored intervention well, let's go to the objective, please. The objective, I also saw something in the objective that talks about shaping. Number 3, the third objective, you want to assess the extent to which the HH characteristics shape contraceptive, that shape. I think you should so I think you should maybe you should look for something that will be more appropriate rather than shape, so that we understand because we can interpret shape in different ways. So by and large, thank you and well done. Over.
All right, good presentation, Azan. I expected that. I know you do this. But anyway, go to your title. I want to be clear, it's not my thoughts. You have 2 households in that title. Household headship, household characteristics. One has to go.
The second one has to go.
The second one has to go. To begin with, you can still characterize what you want to state, because the thing is, household headship is one. The characteristics around that household. So the first household captures the second one. So to me, it will be influence of household headship and characteristics on contraceptive use among sexually active female adolescents. Then now go to, where did you mention this? I think the questions are objective, if that's the place. Okay, first point, determine level of contraceptive use among sexually active female. Examine the influence of household headship characteristics on the use of this, and then assess the extent of household characteristics. So the first one is talking about household headship. Because household headship, you are just using one word. Female, the type of headship, is it headed by a female? or headed by
Is that what
is that what you mean? Or there are more characteristics still under headship?
There are more, sir. I think I mentioned it during the presentation.
I did not remember the time.
I can't remember.
I said something about decision-making capacities when I was doing that presentation. That one, automation.
It's actually there.
It's still also headship.
It's still headship.
It's still under the umbrella of headship.
Headship. To me,
What do you mean by headship?
what's the operational definition of headship? Because to me, we are not saying it's not, but we are saying that household characteristics covers. Is it that you are saying to me? I feel when you say household headship and it has an operational definition. So household headship, male and female, young male, old male. I don't know whether you get it. So it's still all about household headship.
There's no need to have
characteristics. Then you now talk in terms of household characteristics, which you have said, okay, there are different things aside maybe number of wives, number of maybe polygamy and things like that. I wouldn't know. Maybe by the time Prof comes into this, but I feel that since you the word household and from your title, you just say household headship. We should always be conscious of that. And then coming here, consistency, household headship, household characteristics. So if you are introducing, do you get what I'm saying now? You are introducing characteristics here again. Okay, so then let's go to your method. This multivariable binary logistic regression, at what level are we stopping? This your binary logistic regression. Are you taking into consideration the nature of the DHS, the NDHS? You understand what I mean?
It's not multi-level, sir.
It's not multi-level.
It's not.
Then have you properly then addressed or analyzed the DHS, looking at the hierarchical nature of the data?
Like I said before.
Okay.
The variable, so are you referring to what basic treatment?
Yes.
If you are properly going to address that, I don't know. If we really want to analyze the DHS properly, are you getting it? You will have to address the issue of the hierarchical nature of the data. Anyway, depending on what our objectives are and all that. But this one, you are a statistician for goodness sake. So that's why I went that route. So don't. Prof, sir. Okay.
I just want to break it down. What do you mean by?
We'll come back. You should know that about the NDHS, the method, the way it was collected. Are you getting it now? Because it's as if the household is nested in the clusters, which can be either the community or local government. In this case, the enumeration area. Yes. Are you getting it now? That nested within LGAs. And then all that. So the household is nested in enumeration areas. The enumeration within the LGAs, some of college and things like that. Yeah, so that's hierarchy. And then once you get to your primary sampling unit, like Prof, we always ask what is PSU and things like that. So it is hierarchical. Are you getting it now? So it's not just a one-stand thing. And so if you want to deal with it, you must take into consideration that there are about 3 or 4 levels of clusters. If you get what I mean like that. So. And that also means you need to go and sit down and understand the methodology of NDHS going forward.
Yes, sir. Well, virtually all my concerns have been raised. But I want to put this question forward to everybody, to all of us. When we talk about household characteristics, especially looking at the household data, what do we expect to see? What are the variables we expect to see under household characteristics? NDHS has a separate data on households. What are the variables underneath? I suspect that definitely we will have sex of household head. Is that true? Good. I'm sure we'll have a listing of all household members, I'm sure we will have relationship to household head. Am I communicating? So if we have all those variables there, are they enough to talk about household characteristics? So if you look at the variables there and they are enough, then we may not need household head in the topic. Because household head, like Dr. Gundele said, is male or female. Household headship is either male or female. And so this topic is like looking at those who are female-headed. What happens to contraceptive use among their adolescents? Those who are male-headed, what happens? So at the end of the day, we may be looking at a differential between, gender differential of household head, as it has to do with contraceptive use among sexually active adolescents, female adolescents. So let's look at the variables under household characteristics. I think it should also contain education. I'm not too sure, but we should look at it. I tried to look at it there, but I noticed that I only have the individual data stuff here. So so if we're able to establish that, then we can reduce the topic to be concise enough, because at the end of the day, we're going to address the headship. Okay? Now let's go to, again, where the research questions are. There's just one question, 3 objectives. So I want to think that that one question is a general question with regards to the title. Abi? All right, now let's look at objective 1, 2, and 3. What are the questions you are going to ask? You need to state it clearly, because those are the questions that will guide your thoughts. Has anybody answered this particular question? If it has been answered somewhere, I'll drop it. So each of them too should have their own specific research questions. In fact, I am used to research questions on the basis of specific objectives, not even the general thing. The general thing is okay, at least it tells you where you're going. Okay? The shape thing has been corrected, so I don't want to speak more about that. Now please always, everybody, now always have at the back of your mind the mind of the editor. Okay? Especially, of course, before you submit your manuscript to anything, you look at what they want. What are they likely to ask about? For example, in demography, we ask ourselves, we ask our students, what is demographic about what you have written? Okay? So these are things that you are also going to, you are not part of the data, but you are making use of their data. Even things that they did not see, you are likely to see it. But by the time you are submitting your manuscript, you want to ask yourself, can I actually go into the mind of the editor of that journal and use, like we said the other time, terms that are relevant, that are demographic in nature? As much as possible, please avoid journalistic style of writing. It's supposed to be an academic thing. Don't do audio reporting, in your write-up. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Wow. For me,
Okay, let's clap for Hassan. All right, so long. Everyone has presented. It's been quite some hours. I wouldn't know if lunch is ready. We'll go do lunch. Then we'll return back to go into practical sessions or stuff. Oh. Yeah, well, let's do lunches.
It's just cleaner.
I just remember that Dr. Mrs. is here to do a review for us.
That's